Oh my gosh. This episode actually, we are supposed to be laughing, but it actually had me crying. Let's talk about it. And I'm like, come on through, Cookie. I want to pull my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for season 1, episode 5 of Claws. Like I said, this show, it's funny. It's supposed to be a funny show, but it literally had me in tears. We actually did this episode get to know more about the story of Desna and Dean's bout with the foster parents, and it was a mess. But we'll talk about it. Okay, so let's just start off. We began the episode with Bryce and Dr. Ken. He had Dr. Ken in the car. His plan was to kill Dr. Ken. Basically took him out into the woods. And Dr. Ken broke free and got to running. Bryce is following him. Child, they going back and forth, quoting motivational speakers' words and arguing and running. And he's pleading with him, telling him, no, I didn't kill Bryce. He's saying, I'm going to kill you. By this time, Desna and Jen have gotten out there. And they end up meeting up and stopping Bryce. Bryce is losing his fucking mind, period. That's what's going on with him. Bryce is losing it. So we go through all that. And the next thing we see Jen actually talking to Bryce and telling Bryce, Dr. Ken didn't do it. So he finally accepted that. She's telling him, let these other people take care of this mess. This is not you. Kidnapping people, threatening to kill people. This is not you. This is not what you do. This is not how you get down. Let's just let this go. And then she told him, if you let it go and tell Uncle Daddy that you quit, I'll let you put it in my butt. And he's going like, I said, Lord have mercy. She said, I'm telling you, you need some rest and relaxation, and some butt action will actually make you feel better. I'm like, mess. Anyway, he wasn't going for it. Next, we actually have Jen, Virginia, and Desna. They get called out to the bar. And there's Uncle Daddy and that ugly ass goddamn wife or girlfriend or whatever she is. They're going back and forth. All these accusations, this, that, thing, and the other. Saying, because she's believing that Virginia, she keeps pounding it. Saying that ugly woman keeps saying, those two, that Virginia and Desna know more than they're saying about Roller's death. And going back and forth. So they start questioning them and asking them about, well, y'all were arguing and fighting and fussing amongst each other, right before everything happened and this, that, thing, and the other. So they go through all of that mess and finally get it done. Virginia tells another lie and tells them, I overheard Roller arguing with his drug dealers, and I believe they're probably the ones that did it. Long story short, Dean ends up having an episode. He done climbed up on a billboard. The billboard is the Coomses, which were the foster parents. They're like huge real estate brokers in the area. He done crawled up on the billboard, spray painting on their faces and stuff. Desna's like, I've told you, they are nothing. They're words on a picture. Their pictures are on a magazine. They can't hurt us. And he ended up having a session with his personal trainer. And the personal trainer is telling him, you know, you got to strengthen your mind and this, that, the other. And he's talking about all these things and saying, you know, if you're feeling some kind of way about some things, you have to just talk it out and say what's on your mind, and you can let it go. Not knowing, you know, where Dean is taking, you know, Dean is overly intelligent, really. He goes back and tells Des, you know what? I want to confront them. I want to confront them and talk to them. And she's like, no, that's really going to be bad. That's not, I don't think that's going to be a good idea. So they end up, she has no other choice, but she ends up taking him. They were in the midst of doing a showing of an apartment or a house, and there were several people in there. So here comes Des and Dean. And they start blurting out shit, and Dean's talking about things that they did. You made us sit and pee, and you made us eat cat food out of a dog dish, and this, that, thing, and the other. And they're like, do we know you? We don't know you. They're like, we were your foster kids. And they're like, we don't know you. And they're like, we've had over 50 wonderful foster children. Surely we don't know you all. They were playing to that. And the people were like walking around. They were like, oh, child, we got to go. We're out of here. So all the customers left. Soon as the customers left, the woman said, is that you, Butterball Desna and Ricky Retardo? I said, oh, these motherfuckers. And they went on, and they were a mess. A mess. She even told them, you know, they were having this banter back and forth. She told them, you were nothing. You would be selling your ass on the corner had I not taught you some sense. And then Desmond was like, I ought to beat your ass is what I ought to do. You know, and Dean was saying, you know, you had no right to treat us that way. You know, this, that, thing, the other. They're going back and forth. So Desmond says to the woman, she said, are you still snorting coke, bitch? She said, that's what rich people do, honey. Your kind like to cook it. That woman was a mess. A mess. So they go through all of that. Finally, they're like, let's go. So Dean told them, don't touch my goddamn sister. You don't touch my sister, you know. So they end up going outside. They go outside, and Dean is saying, why does evil always win? Why does evil always win? And she's like, it doesn't, you know, this, that, and the other. So then he's having this conversation back and forth with herself, and she's like, I'll protect you. I always protected you, this, that, and the other. He's like, what do you mean you protected me? I protected you. She's like, what are you talking about? So he starts having this conversation with him and himself. And in the midst of the conversation, he kept saying, don't tell her, Dean. Don't you tell her. And he's like, no, I got to tell her. I'm going to tell her. And he's battling with himself. And then he blurts out to Desna that they had sex with him and threatened him that if he didn't do it and shut up and keep the secret, that they would do it to her. And he did it to protect her. Well, that was just too much for her. It was too much for her. So in the midst of it, she said, okay, no problem. She gonna get him back. She came up with the, and that's the part where I was crying, John. That made me cry. It was a whole mess. I needed a moment with that. But she wakes up the next day. Dean is outside with a gun. He done went and got a gun from somewhere. And he said, I don't feel safe. She's like, I gotta take care of this. She comes up with the idea. She's going to frame them. She's going to put the murder of Roller on them. Make an anonymous call. Drop the money and things off that Virginia has stole. And the bags and that they stole from Roller's Planet in their house. Frame them. Do an anonymous tip to the cops and have them locked up. So they're like, we got to find somebody to do it. Her and Virginia. And Virginia's like, I have just the person. Polly. Now, before all this happened, Polly had actually pulled Virginia to the side and told her, I see you, China doll. I see beyond all of your little smiles and you acting stupid. I see you. You ain't shit. And whatever you did, she had literally had broken into Virginia's house that made some damn cupcakes. She up in there, Virginia came in, had Virginia at knife point with a butcher knife and told her, if you do something that gets Desna into trouble, I'll cut a bitch. And she was like talking smart at first. Then she's like, don't play with me, China doll. And did like that, baby. And the knife went up in the ceiling and stuck up in the ceiling. Honey. Virginia was like, okay, girl, all right, child. Okay, child, all right. Hilarious. You hear me? Hilarious. So Paulie ends up doing it. And they went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And Paulie's like, I'll do whatever I need to do to help you out. Paulie goes ahead, breaks into the house. They plant the stuff. So that was that. Desna makes the call. They're like, okay, good. We got everything. In the meantime, they dancing around to Lady Marmalade and doing a little dance number and everything. Everybody's happy. Everything's all good because they also have been dealing with old girl who then got the salon, 2 salon offers actually for Desna. And then the other salon where they were being shady had actually come back onto the market. In the midst of dealing with her, finds out that she has an abusive husband, and Desna is telling her she's basically working on her, making her stronger, and eventually she's going to get rid of her damn husband, listening to Desna, making herself better. So they go through all that. That was like, cool, no problem. So they're dancing, everything's all good. Child, in the midst of that, while all that's going on, here, Uncle Daddy then got a tip-off from some dirty cops he got, and he sent his boys in, and they get to the foster parents before the police get to them. And they basically beat them all up, and then that damn Bryce actually did the shooting. Murdered them in cold blood, shot them all in their backs and everything. So the last thing we actually see of them is when Uncle Daddy actually contacts Desna and lets Desna know that they've killed him. Bryce was the one that did the shooting. This actually makes Jen break down because she knows Bryce is gone. He's gone. His ass, he's done. Whoop, whoop, he's gone, honey. So that's that. And then the last scene we see is a scene like from Misery. Honey, everything's all good in the hood. Looks up. Here's Roller. Laying in the bed, some crazy ass recluse, honey, that got him all in this S&M garb and all this mess. Got chains and shit around his neck, got a lock, and got him. He done woke up out of a comatose state. She's talking about, oh, you're alive, and she kissing him. He talking about, I need water. She like, you spit a sex, honey. A mess. I said, Lord, if this ain't a scene right out of Misery. And that's where it went off. I can't wait until, look, it's getting ready to rain. That's why it's gotten so dark, y'all. I apologize. But anyway, the video's over. But that's it. That was the last thing that happened. I will catch you guys next week. It's getting ready to storm. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.